I was inspired to come on and talk about freedom. And what I thought would be just a simple training or share that I do with you turned into a series because there's so much about freedom that I want to share. And hopefully, I'm going to provide a space of awareness for you about freedom and what it means, what it's feeling like, and what it's looking like to you. Now, I will say I am going to be looking at my notes for this particular day one part of the Freedom series. And it's because everything about day one fuels everything else as it relates to freedom for entrepreneurs. Also, it is directed from a space that's in my wheelhouse. As a growth strategist, I begin to really think about what helped people to grow, what kept them from growing. In my previous brick and mortar business, as I was working with clients who were coming in, much of our time was spent me listening to their life, their wellness, their well-being, and it would always leave me with thoughts of like, how can I serve them more in that area? How can I help them? How can I provide some form of connectivity or information that's going to help them get to their next level? Even as I'm sharing this, I remember going to a conference that was many states over from the state that I was in when I was in a time of transition. That conference was thousands of dollars. It was in Florida. I had to fly there, room and board, all the expenses you would think about, going to a conference that was, four figures and staying for 3 days. And it was actually in a time that there was uncertainty in my business, but even more so, there was uncertainty in my own life. I was married, I was separated at that time, and I was really making a lot of life decisions. One of the things I did in that season of my brick and mortar business, I decided that I wasn't hiring anyone else because I wasn't sure, like, am I going to be here next year? Am I going to close this down? What am I going to do? And I didn't want to bring people on thinking that, you have 4 or 5 years of time to work with our company. I couldn't even fully share the vision at that point because I was uncertain about what I wanted to do in my own life. And so financially, going on that conference wasn't necessarily what most people looking at the circumstances would have thought was a great move. But I did it, and I'm so grateful that I did, because in that conference, taking that calculated risk, maybe it was an expanded form of calculation, but taking that risk, I was able to find clarity about what it was I was called to do in, the next season. And it really ties into this level of freedom that I want to talk to you about on today. And so this is our Freedom series for entrepreneurs, CEOs, women in business. And this is day one. So the biggest part of, to tie all of this in, growth is huge for me. It is my wheelhouse, regardless of how I'm working with people. And this is something I learned over time. I'm always looking for how things can be greater for them. I'm always doing things to impart possibility and hope and expansion about their current circumstances. And so that mindset is what's called a growth mindset. Now, I'm not exactly sure where the beginning of the growth mindset started, but I do want to say that it was probably my mom and my dad always just saying, you can do anything, not making me feel restricted about possibilities or what's possible. My mom and I were talking the other day about the fact that when I was 16, I drove to Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, to visit my family. My mom's sisters live in Baltimore, and all of my cousins, we are kind of like stair steps. It's about 5 of us, but I was 16 and I drove to Maryland. We had no cell phones back then, no GPS, all the things and conveniences that we have now. And I was actually telling my mom that I was grateful for, she was a fairly young mom, but I was grateful for her, maybe allow me to do some things that I definitely wouldn't let my daughter do now, because of the way that the world is, though, not because she isn't capable of handling situations that she may be unfamiliar with, because she's absolutely amazing, but simply because of the way of the world. But I was 16, driving to Maryland. I had a map, an actual physical map. My mom had given me which route to take and to stop at a payphone at every, I think, hour of the ride and give her a call just to let her know where I was. And so if I had to attribute the soundboard for growth mindset, it would be my mom and also my dad, who were both really, really young. They purchased their first home. Neither of them grew up in wealthy families, but they decided that that would change with them. And I believe a lot of their forward thinking and things that they did that weren't necessarily like normal, although it wasn't impossible, definitely produced the soundboard for the growth mindset that I have been able to cultivate and even adapt those practices even more. And so as a growth strategist, I am a master life and business coach, and I teach from a 3-point perspective: abundance mindset, personal growth, and business building. And the first space that freedom actually exists for any of you who are entrepreneurs, small business owners, women in business, is in your mind. So the freedom that you're looking for, because what most of us are growing our business, doing all the things, trying all the new things, or the goals, the dreams, the desires, is there's this innate desire for freedom. I was thinking of Maslow's hierarchy, chain of hierarchy, and how it talks about the basic needs, and then we go into changing the quality of our life, and it's 5 levels. I won't go into detail because that's not what this is about, and I don't want to make this super long because it is meaty enough, because again, this is my wheelhouse: abundance mindset and the freedom that actually starts in your mind. I have quite a few things that I really want to share with you on today as it relates to the fact that the freedom that you're looking for, the reasons why we continue to keep going, is, generally because we want freedom. And so the first of the freedom series is going to start with, obtaining freedom first in your mind. So it's a concept or a desire that will be stimulated from tapping into abundance and belief that there is enough resources in the world for everyone, right? It is the very opposite of a scarcity mindset, which is always focused on unfulfilled needs, what others have that they don't. This is often the comparison trap that really happens a lot in social media, because we're watching other people highlight reels who are living their lives and showing us different things. And, it's so easy to fall in that trap. But oftentimes the stimulating factor in that is scarcity thinking. Now, I've been talking for years on, poverty thinking, scarcity thinking, and abundance mindset. And I really want to relay this into you as a CEO, a leader, or an entrepreneur, and the stark differences in the abundance mindset and, the scarcity mindset as it relates to your leadership and how it actually impacts your company and your life. So Having an abundant business mindset is when you focus on what you have and how you can improve it. You're focusing on what you have and how you can improve it, not necessarily focusing on the last person that dropped their last haul that they got from the Versace, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, YSL, Louis Vuitton store, or their new luxury car. Those things are things that are just obtainable once we step into the abundance mindset, but it's not where we are consumed with stuff as much as abundance is in our being. The abundance mindset or scarcity mindset will impact how you grow and develop your business and your company. So an abundance mindset, business owner focuses on what they have and how they can improve it, but they do it from a place of gratitude. The fears, now fear is normal, right? It is actually a great emotion that we innately have that warns us about danger. But based on our present mindset and our subconscious beliefs, fear is also, although it has very beneficial factors in our journey and in our life, it can be an inhibitor of actually moving to the next level. And an abundant business abundant mindset business owner is able to assess the fear, do it anyway, or do what's necessary anyway. They don't feel like their conditions that they're currently in are just their conditions. This is what it is. I just roll with it. I always take losses, that type of thing. That's just not the mindset or the space that they actually come from. So as I was preparing to share day one of the Freedom series, which is, your freedom is actually in your mind. This is where your freedom actually begins. I thought about my own journey when I owned a brick and mortar business back in 2009. In my, circumference, Facebook was actually becoming this popular thing. Of course, college students and, others had been using it prior, but it was really becoming more mainstream in 2009, which is actually when I brought my then brick and mortar service-based business online. But I won't take full credit for putting my business online, because at that time I had an employee who suggested that we bring our business online, that we begin to market the brick and mortar business online. Now, I had all of my personal reservations because prior to that, I heard that Facebook was a place where people just want to get in your business and just all the things. And, I was worried about the impact that it would have bringing my business itself online. And I'd already said I didn't even have a personal Facebook page. I don't believe. I don't think I did. But I'd already said, oh, no, I want no parts of Facebook. But my staff member suggested that we bring it online. Now, I want to, again, I said it's going to be a lot of meat in this particular training or share that I'm doing with you today. I want to interject for a moment because this particular staff member was also a staff member who wasn't as thorough as I would have liked for her to be at a certain point. So she had gone through the training. It seemed to be taking her a little longer to catch on, and not only catch on, it was just like her finding a rhythm for the systems that we had in place. And in all honesty, I was uncertain even about whether she was a good fit for the company. But as I began to really look at my staff in other ways, and this is where, a growth mindset and taking on a mindset of abundance is important for you as a leader, I began to realize that her value to the company was more her creativity. It was more her open-mindedness and her willingness to, try things. And so if you have staff that may not be functioning well in one area, if you are a good leader, if you are really able to discern, and if your company can afford it in that time, there may be another position that people would operate in and flourish in simply because their gifts are in alignment with particular tasks. this is why when I'm helping people to create culture in their business or to go through and look at their staff and see what the issues are, sometimes the issues aren't really the issues. Sometimes the issues are the lack of discernment that the leader has for placing people in the right position so that they can actually flourish and be a benefit to the company. And so she was creative and artsy and all of those things. And so initially the roles that I had her in weren't the roles that would best accommodate her gifts. So I wanted to interject and share that. So she begins to, just encourage me, not in a heavy way, to bring the business online and market it on Facebook. And so I'm so glad that I was able to get out of that fixed mindset and way of thinking and be open to trying new things and to, just tap into a space of abundance thinking and align with what she shared, because it is the reason, well, it was the soundboard for why I'm even here speaking to you on today. So had I not been open to new ideas and innovation, I might still be singing the same song, probably not in business, about Facebook. Had I not been open, had I not been able to tap into that abundance mindset and that growth mindset and to listen to someone else other than myself about an idea that would move our business forward. And so freedom, the freedom that you're looking for, whether it's growing your business, creating more income in your business, finances, all the things, it first starts in your mind. So your mindset is the tool that is dictating the growth in your company or not, right? It's you and your thinking as a CEO. So I want to go and highlight some things that a leader who is thinking from a space of scarcity as opposed to abundance may be doing, thinking, being in their company, and why it's not moving forward. I just thought about something I'd read about the IQ test. And most people look at the IQ test as a means of measuring, how great someone is or how well they will do. But the IQ test was actually created as a way to find out why some people, students in particular, it was generated to create something for children, but why they weren't performing or learning as well. It wasn't a tool that was created so that, we could say we have these high IQs, but more so to find out where the problem was. And our world space as a collective at that time was more on this fixed mindset where skill set was what was determining. The straight A's was a determining factor. Even now, degrees and things like that were determining factors, as opposed to providing an atmosphere that allowed people to be creative and to expand and explore and step into spaces of possibility, recognizing that people learn differently. Right? And so I just thought about that as I was beginning to really get into what I want to share next, because our mindset is everything. And irregardless of your environment, where you started out, what your soundboard was, I shared where I thought mine, generally originated. There's always the possibility to expand and enlarge that. Adapting an abundant mindset is a process that you actually you step into, right? Here's a quote I want to share with you. Abundance is not something you acquire. It is something that you tune into. Abundance is not something that you acquire. It is something that you tune into. Meaning, if people think that, oh, she thinks this way because of her background, which I did give you ways where mine was stimulated or activated in my youth, because I believe that God has given us this amazing tool called our mind that is actually the wealthiest tool that we have. It does not limit you based on where you started. It is your ability to tune in and tap in to what is abundant. It is your ability to cultivate it and allow it to be cultivated by sometimes unlearning some things that you previously learned, things that were in your subconscious programming, much like, how I felt about Facebook. Like if I didn't, tap in and tune into a more abundant way, I could have kept that fixed mindset and just never brought my business online. And many of the women that I've had an opportunity to serve wouldn't have been served, at least not by me. So it just would have changed the dynamics for so many things in my life, definitely, and those that I get to serve. So the opposite of an abundance mindset, which is where your freedom exists, the opposite of an abundance mindset is a scarcity mindset. And this is where a person may be afraid to invest, right? Now, you might have got a little uncomfortable. I might have lost some people when I mentioned the word investing, but it's something that you want to think about because we spend money, all the time. And it's not always on things that have the ability to give us a return or high return on what it is that we're doing. And so, even, and I think I've said this before, like I love Dave Ramsey's concepts. It works in many people's lives, but I believe that the missing piece in it is abundance mindset, because many people go into like this hermit stage where they're not investing. I'm thinking about when I traveled, not at a time that it was comfortable for me financially, to a conference that literally changed my life. It literally asked a question that brought me into a new phase of clarity about what I was called to do, about what some of my superpowers and gifts were. And I went home and spent a year, opening my coaching and consulting business, taking classes and courses and gathering information on just what is consulting, only to realize that I had been doing that, all along. And so, I'm sharing that because sometimes there's a fear about investing, but you want to look like, go here, right? Say, well, I am spending money, but am I spending it on things that are considered investments, or am I just spending money? Because it's two differences, right? And so scarcity thinking, a CEO who is afraid to invest back into their business, who is afraid to invest back into themselves, because your business is either going to be an abundant business or a scarcity producing business. And it is always generated from the mindset of the leader. A scarcity thinking leader doesn't allow themselves to dream and set audacious goals. I think it's important. I sent out an email the other day. What was the soundboard? I remember the conversation because one of my people on that VIP list responded to the email and emailed me back. And that's kind of what I wanted to share. But I was trying to think, like, what was the center of that conversation? I know we talked about consistency, but anyway, a subscriber emailed me back and shared that they thought that they had been setting too big of goals and getting frustrated and things of that nature. And I shared with them that it was important to set those big goals. Although there are some smaller foundational things that you can do to develop a certain skill set. I think we were talking about consistency. To develop consistency, it doesn't mean that you don't set bigger goals, right? It means that you continue to set audacious goals and dream, but to be able to reverse engineer it and become aware of, where you need to start and what you need to work on as it relates to the journey. But, someone who is operating from that space of scarcity or a fixed mindset, like all I have is what I got now, and this is how it's going to be, this is about how far it's going to go, avoids dreaming. I remember a conversation with someone who was really dear to me at that time, saying that they don't dream. And my heart broke. I knew it wasn't a conversation that I could just kind of go back and forth and coach them through. It wasn't even my job or my position in their life to coach them. But it really broke my heart, because when we don't dream, we kind of block possibility from coming into our life. And so someone who's thinking from a space of scarcity lacks the cognitive ability to get past any subconscious beliefs or what's going on in their subconscious mind to even dream, to even set an audacious goal, because they don't believe that it's possible. They're thinking from a space of lack and only what is currently available to them. Yo-yo budgeting is something that happens when we're in that space of scarcity. So we'll set these restrictive goals. I'm talking about that they're so restrictive that they don't allow you to invest. They don't allow you to see the return on, spending the money. So you'll set this really restrictive budget. I budget, guys. I don't like to call it budget. I call it my freedom list. But I look at budgeting as a way to tell my money what to do. And when you're in that scarcity thinking, you'll create this audacious restriction on your life and on your business that is so unobtainable. Like, I just ain't spending nothing. And crash and burn, because then you go back and you just go on this spree, right? Because you've restricted yourself from some of the very things that gives you the energy and the insight and the know-how and all the things that will actually propel your business forward. So there's often a lot of yo-yo budgeting, like, okay, I'm gonna budget and I just ain't gonna spend nothing. My budget gonna be up here, it's gonna be so strict. And then, boom, you just go and spend it all. And so harmony, finding harmony. I talk about work-life harmony all the time. I am careful about using the word balance, because I don't think that things are really balanced. I believe in polarity and I believe in harmony. And so finding a harmony, even in the way that you're budgeting is really important. And a lot of it is the freedom in your mind, really aligning from an abundant space. Oftentimes when your mindset is in scarcity or lack, you aren't generous. And so there are laws and principles that our world space operates on that are working and operating all the time. And that energy of not being generous or lacking generosity will often hold back many of the things that are destined to come. It's already set up. God has already created these universal laws and things in the universe that he created to work on your behalf. And that scarcity thinking, that fixed mindset and not being generous often holds back, because, we can go into the whole reaping and sowing thing. It often holds back the abundance that's actually supposed to come in the life of someone who may not be seeing it because they're thinking from a space of scarcity and a space of lack, avoidance. Now, I talked about CEO avoidance in my last take, so this is coincidental that I'd be kind of sharing it from a different perspective here on the Freedom series. And Freedom First, starting with your mind, this is where you're avoiding the fact that you're bad with money, but you won't deal with it. You won't deal with the real issue. Now, bad with money doesn't mean that you're not earning a lot of money. That's not what it means, because there are plenty of high earners who are having to work so hard to keep up with what they're doing, because there's this thing that they're avoiding taking a look at, and the fact that they may be bad with money. Identifying what the thing is that's causing the hole in the bucket, for lack of better words. So again, you could even make very high income, but it's like there's a hole in the bucket. I'm going to move over. I have some more things to share as it relates to, the CEO is thinking from a scarcity space, but I kind of want to move over and bring some polarity into my sharing and interject to talk about the abundant thinking CEO. The abundant thinking CEO, small business owner, woman entrepreneur, believes there's enough opportunity. They believe in opportunity. So there may be a situation or a scenario that's a little uncomfortable, but because of their belief, because of abundant thinking, they believe that although this may not be the current situation, I believe if I continue to hold on to this belief, if I continue to retrain my thoughts and my thinking as it relates to my mindset, there's another opportunity that exists, and they allow their belief and their faith to be fueled and to stimulate them into the next possible action, the next possible resource, just the belief that if I go ahead and take this step, the next space of possibility, it exists because opportunity is all around me. An abundant mindset business owner is not limited by their fears and their doubts. This is super important. You know, I'm thinking back to 2007, 2008, when our country was going through a recession, and how this one mindset, it was one thing someone had shared with me years ago. I was able to tap into that statement they made and tap into a space of abundance. And although things around me weren't looking well, the news outlets, all those things were saying all the things, I was able to tap into a mindset that allowed me to create new strategies and opportunities that allowed our business to actually soar. And we made more in a year or two than we had made a total of maybe between 2 to 4, 3 and 4, 2 and 3 years prior. But it was because I just didn't allow the fear. Now, I had fear. Now, I'm not saying that there weren't moments where I was like, look, I don't know about this, right? But I didn't allow the fear and doubt to immobilize me in those scenarios. And so an abundant mindset CEO, business owner, entrepreneur does not allow the fear and the doubt to overtake them and to cause them to become complacent and not do anything, not take any type of forward action. They take new challenges they have and put themselves in a solution-focused position. And so many people focus on the problem as opposed to the solution, that they stay in a space of complacency, right? And so an abundant mindset CEO adapts a mindset that is solution focused. And so now we'll kind of swap back a little bit to that of a scarcity mindset business owner. Overspends in the wrong areas. Overspends in the wrong areas. I was just recording a video training. I created a guide called Prospering in Any Economy. And, you know, I did it in digital form, and then there's an audio to it. And then I created a video training for it. It's not released in all those scenarios, but as I was creating it, there's a portion in there that talks about, you know, really looking at like, where are you spending? Sometimes it's not that you don't have what you need for the thing to start the thing. It's just like where you're spending it. So overspending is also something that comes from scarcity thinking. So it could be like buying 20 of something that you really don't need, right? I made a post where I was talking about, I'm not a minimalist by far, but it's something about that minimalist lifestyle that's becoming really attractive to me. And the more I've been doing mindset work for over a decade now, well over a decade, maybe 2 decades, or, you know, just became something of value and interest in me, especially as I began helping other people. But it's been tremendous for my life, you know, just really studying growth and growth mindset. And yeah, so I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was with that, you know, going back to the whole growth mindset thing. Oh, but I realized that abundance is not necessarily having a whole lot of stuff. It's more a mindset and a space of being that allows you to create and obtain in a space of overflow, right? Where you always have more than what you need. And in order to bring that into the physical 3D reality, it first has to be here. It first has to be in your mind. So I kind of talked about that scarcity, that CEO with the scarcity mindset could be overspending in the wrong places, but the total opposite is underspending as well. You know, we kind of tapped on that originally where we talked about investing, like not investing enough in the right things. A fixed mindset CEO is normally in a scarcity space, and this CEO refuses to look at their deficiencies. Now, this is a huge part of, you know, why many businesses don't move forward. It's like this: I refuse to look at what is actually wrong. I refuse to look at the deficiencies in my business. I refuse to look at my thinking to see why my business isn't moving forward the way I desire it to be. I instantly thought about Blockbuster and other companies who just couldn't move past the mindset that they currently had in order to invest in running and operating their business differently, who have completely gone out of business when we began moving into this digital age and Netflix came on the scene. Blockbuster just thought that what they were doing was what they were doing and it was going to work, and they had the most fabulous idea and they were just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, not willing to take a look at what was deficient, what wasn't working in their company to save the company. And so that fixed mindset is a huge thing. And the desire to switch over to being an abundant mindset CEO or a business owner is definitely an area to tap into for those of you who really want more and desire more for your business, for your life, and for your family. Is, you know, tuning in to all things abundant and seeing how you are not bringing that into your business and your company. So that scarcity thinking, it's where you feel you want to get, you can't get any more clients because everyone has already taken them. So maybe you're a coach in a specific field and everybody's life coaching now, everybody's business coach, everyone's a health coach, everyone is doing the thing that you desire to do. And so there's this mindset that there aren't enough customers. We got, what, 8 billion people in the world? And we're digital. The opportunity to go global. There are people who need what it is that you have. And, you know, that scarcity thinking will have you thinking there's no need for me to go live. There's no need for me to post. There's no need for me to invest on figuring out what my deficiencies are because it ain't enough clients. There's not enough clients, right? And so your mindset is the first place to acquire freedom. And tapping into abundance is huge. It's a space that I always work with my clients that come to me in business. I like interject that thing, you know, somehow or another into my work and my space, as even helping them step into new strategies and new opportunities for growing their business. I always tap into mindset piece. You have to learn to meet a limited circumstance with an unlimited thought. You have to learn to meet a limited circumstance, what seems limited, with an unlimited thought. And when you can step into that space, you switch your perspective, right? Ways to do that. Surround yourself with abundant mindset people. See, the fixed mindset will say, oh, this is my crew. This is always going to be my crew. I'm ride or die. You know, all the things. I probably wasn't all that cool, you know, when I was doing all. But yeah, you know, just the willingness to surround yourself with people who are thinking from an abundant space. And remember, I said the CEO who's thinking from a scarcity space is unwilling to look at their deficiency. So putting themselves in a room where people know more, you know, the ego starts coming up. They ain't even comfortable with that. But guys, I'm telling you, I am always connected to someone who knows more than I do, even if I know that I know more in one specific subject than they do. I don't limit that they may know something in another area that I don't. Listen, I just believe that surrounding yourself with people who are operating from a space of abundance who even desire to operate from a space of abundance is important. So identify your dominant mindset. You have to get to a place, and this is not something that most people can really do on their own. It does take collective work to do that. But recognizing your dominant mindset. So you may have spurts where you're thinking abundantly, but there's a dominant mindset that is running the show, that is running your business, that is bringing results into your business. It's coming up in your results. There's an abundant there's a dominant mindset that is operating the show. Now, I like to call it the subconscious mindset, your subconscious thinking. These are thoughts and things that we've probably accumulated even as early as our childhood that are still running the show, even if we have earner, but stuff looking a little funny. There's a dominant mindset somewhere that you need to identify so that you can position yourself to cultivate an abundant mindset, right? To really tune in and tap into. Remember, abundance is not something that you acquire. It is something that you tune into. If this is you, if I want to tap into a higher realm of abundance, maybe I've been doing a little abundance thinking and positive thoughts and affirmations and all of those things, but I know there's another realm for me because I keep coming to this point over and over and over again. I am hosting a 1-day live intensive at the top of the year. It's called She Prospers. It is completely and fully about retraining your subconscious programming, retraining your brain and your thoughts so that you are in alignment with abundance, so that you can tune in and tap into abundance. I will be working with 12 individuals on that particular day, women who are forward thinking. This is not for women who don't want to tap into a new level of belief. They're ready to step into creativity, possibility, and expansion, and they really want to set their year forward. I'll be working with 12 women at the first of the year for that 1-day intensive. If you know, this is what I need. I need this freedom in my mind. I know I'm battling with this mind thing on possibility, and it's holding me back. I've been working super, super hard. I've had some results, but I know there is an easier way for things to happen that I am desiring. And I don't want to be doing it the way that I've always done it. The freedom starts in the mind first. And once you learn to retrain those subconscious thoughts and really tap in and tune into abundance, it gets to be easy. Your perspective changes, what you begin noticing around you that is going to move your company, your business, and your life forward, the things that you desire, relationships, your business, in your family life, they become front and center when you retrain what's going on in your mind, when you step in, tap in, and tune into a space of abundance. So I invite you to join us for the She Prospers 1-day live intensive. One day I'll be working with 12 women. It's going to be absolutely amazing, absolutely positively transformational. The shifts, the things that you'll manifest from your time, your energy, your efforts, your investment in yourself in that opportunity is going to be life-changing. So I invite you to join us. renewfulcircle.com/SP Live. I'll put the link up in the comments, and I'll see you on day 2 of the Freedom Series for businesses, women in business, small businesses, and entrepreneurs. I'm Tanya Wilson.